You need opportunities for continuing education.
Correct.
To re-educate those people who want to upgrade their skills.
And I want to go back to what Bo was saying here just a minute ago.
Another one's
Do you
quality
remember,
public education.
Jim, do you remember the days where you could work on your own vehicle? Even if you weren't a mechanic, you could fix your own vehicle? I remember my car broke down and needed something just about 3 weeks ago, and my brother, who always fixed my car, said, I can't fix this. I actually don't understand it. It's all the electronical, it's all this stuff that I can't do now. And so for a lot of people now, we're having to become skilled. And I'll think about the job that you have, Josh, and how much training you have to have, and what it takes now, and what we have to spend to fix cars as well. It's not like what it used to be. So I think it's a really good analogy. It really is. I think we just got to know where you're coming from as far as getting our economy system.
That's why I have a really old car.
Yes. It was built to last.
That's one thing about auto mechanics. I mean, we're always training. I mean, I've been training in automotive since '96, and every day is a new. I'm learning something new every single day, and it's not something that you just stop learning. Because I mean, yeah, some of the, like I was saying, we got scan tools now that you hook up to the ECU, which is directly linked to the computer of the vehicle. And yeah, they tell us, they are so sophisticated, they tell you exactly what's wrong. But I mean, that still only goes so far.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you still also have to have the knowledge to where, okay, it might be throwing up an O2 sensor. Of course, then again, it could be something
We
else
gotta get
that's
back over here.
causing that to go
I
bad.
have one, and thank you, Josh. I have one for you. I think that we're going to have to cultivate our unqualified workforce. We're going to have to move them from the unqualified to the qualified. So we're going to have to look at the educational system.
We're gonna we got that on
So
there.
is that on there? Okay.
It's coming up. You're exactly right.
So I'm making a title here. See,
Right.
it's just gonna
Cul-
run
Yeah,
down
we're just
through
coming
to
up
the
with
next
ideas as
circle.
far as what.
Rather than cultivate, you're really saying
Yeah.
you need to upgrade.
Yeah. The lack of education? Yeah, ask Bo. I think that's a good one.
Okay, the ones who are afraid, and not so much afraid, just can't, they're not good at education. They need something for those type of people could be qualified to get a job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
So like our technical
Yeah,
schools,
yeah.
our technical schools.
I think that's
They're
what
running out of
I'm,
people to teach them.
I think that's what the
Qualified people.
misunderstanding was.
Alternatives.
People was thinking it was just strictly college. It's, you know,
No.
it's certification in general is.
Every
I know, but
every
I'm-
little thing,
Yeah.
every job now, you have to have some sort of training to
Training,
become
right.
qualified to do
Yeah.
that job.
Even working at McDonald's, you have to be able to have a certain amount of reading skills and literacy skills. It never ends.
And I think too, that
That's
it's-
a computer.
I think also it's very easy to overdose on college.
Mhm.
And I'll give you a good example of that. There's a guy here in town that I was talking to. His son went to a place called Tech, Wyoming Technical, 2 years. Studied diesel engine mechanics. He had 25 offers when he came out.
Yeah.
Went to work for a Caterpillar dealer.
Mhm.
Um,
Didn't necessarily.
You know, the
need a
guy
degree.
that runs that show on TV, The World's Dirtiest Jobs, or
Yeah, I love that.
he was on a talk show recently, and he pointed out that there's a place down in Louisiana that is basically a shipyard.
Uh-huh.
They can't find enough qualified welders.
Yeah. That problem is not just even here in Louisiana or in Oklahoma, but across the U.S. and across the world. But we're going
Yeah.
to turn it back over to you.
All right.
Do we
Am I
have
done?
the next one?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm all done?
All right. So, what I'm moving on to here is this is the leadership gumption cycle. When we're examining communities, it's the author points out that it's important to think of the community as an individual. So when we're looking at the gumption cycle here, we're looking at how community and or an individual within the community can make a change. First, you have to believe. Do you believe as an individual that you honestly can make a change? Can you make that happen? Can you get the people behind you to support you to make your change? You got to think. I would say think rationally. Specifically, what does your community have to offer? How are you going to change that? How are you going to make this attractive? Then care. If you don't care about anything, you're not going to be willing to throw into it. Those of us who have made it this far in sports, we obviously had to care. about the sport that we're playing, and it took several hours of practice just to get here. And so it's the same thing. If you're going to want to change a community and create money circulation, you're going to really have to care about the community that you're living in.
Very good.
That's good.
Very good.
Next one is plan. You can't do any major change without a plan. You can't wing it. You have to have something laid out in stone. You have to have your steps lined up. We're going to accomplish this. When I accomplish this, and we go to this. So it's important to have a plan. Next one is invest. You're going to have to be willing to devote all your time into making this change. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a great amount of time. You're going to struggle quite a bit. It's not going to be a quick process. Next one, and the last one is succeed. Ultimately, you're going to look to succeed. What does succeeding look like? What are you going to do when you succeed in making your goal? And how do you maintain it once you do succeed?
Very good.
I like that.
You think this leadership gumption cycle applies just
Yeah.
individually
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
I was thinking just personally,
I
not
was
only
thinking
the
about building
community.
bridges.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what is our driving change and trying to be successful here.
You have to be a bit of a visionary because there are some of us who aren't in college or haven't been to college for a while that are basically caught in the cycle of trying to reinvent yourself. And so you have to be a bit of a visionary to think, what are the community's problems, what are the community's needs, how can I fill them, what skills do I have or don't have that I need that can fit in this niche or this.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
All right, so it boils down to the fact that things are going to turn into one of two things. Your community is either going to be on the losing side or on the winning side. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're not going to be in the middle. In the end, you're on one side of the fence or the other. So, for Loserville, we like to start on the negative side, so things can only get better, right?
We'll move toward positive.
we like to start with the negative. So, Loserville is basically one giant path. You can't just get there overnight, and it's going to happen slowly, but it's a downhill venture. Phase 1 of going to Loserville is a tight labor and talent flight, which means people are going to fight over the jobs, and once you don't have any left, they're going to go somewhere else, somewhere where they're going to be paid, somewhere that's more attractive, somewhere that's better supporting of them, their family, and anything that they need. Phase 2 is aversion to data, which means they don't come to par with the regular standards, they haven't done their research, and they aren't taking the time necessary to make sure everything's up with the surrounding communities. Phase 3 is economic base defect, which means things are deteriorating at a more basic level. The little things are going wrong. The sanitation's becoming under par, so they're cutting funding for that because they don't have the money to keep up all the fancy sanitation or landscaping, or buildings are becoming deteriorated. They just can't afford it anymore. Phase 4 is the service sector contraction, which means they're going to keep cutting. All those things that we pay for on the side that aren't necessary in some people's eyes, like road quality. Those are going to go downhill real fast, those kinds of things. Drop in net worth is the community as a whole has its own net worth projection made up of everybody, and that's going to start declining to where you'll have some people that still have their own high net worth, but as a community you're below par, and it's just not going to be beneficial for anybody. Phase 6 is the type tax base erodes and service sector burden decreases, which is just the people up top are having all kinds of problems keeping money going where it needs to go. They can't definitively say this is how much goes here and this is how much goes there. It's a fight over who's getting what money they do have left. Phase 7 of Loserville is discretionary investments come to a screeching halt. There is nothing left to put into these. Everything has to stop, and it's an irreversible cycle. Phase 8 is deferred maintenance. plumbing, the state's sewage and stuff is all going to be backed up, deteriorating. They can't afford to fix it, and it's going to become a health hazard. People who have made it in the community this long are going to start leaving. This is the point where we see the no return signs. Phase 9, interruption of services, which means complete whole groups are going to shut down. You'll see banks closing down. Major corporations can't stay in the area anymore, so they're either going to completely shut down, go bankrupt, or they're going to move in a hurry. Phase 10, higher taxes. They're going to try to make up for everything that has gone wrong in a fast way. They're going to go, okay, we're just going to have everybody pitch in some more on their taxes. We're going to turn this around. That's actually another way to get further down the road to Loserville, because you can't take money from people who don't have any. We've already seen that they've lost all that they can give you, and just to take more is hurting yourself even more. Phase 11 is the goat killing. This is a term I've only heard in this book. They use the illustration of goat killing as a goat farmer has half of his herd die. The guy who lives next door still has 200 left. But instead of going, man, I wish he'd give me some of his goats so mine will stay healthy too, he says, I wish all his goats would die. Instead of trying to even things out and make everybody happy, they just wish the worst on everybody else. So if your community's failing, they just want everybody around them to be the same. So they feel more comfortable, there's not any odd man out, they just want everybody to suffer if they're going to suffer.
So it's like cutthroat business practices.
It's cutthroat.
We're killing each other off to try to survive.
It's a no hope kind of thing. That's where
Measureless company.
Yeah.
Dirty politics.
Exactly.
Phase 12 is the blight. That means you're done. There's nothing left. You are officially in the second place category of the types of communities. There's no going back, and people who are still there can't leave. They don't have the means to leave unless they leave absolutely everything and start over, which is scary. And they're going to still try and keep things going, try to live in denial that this has happened, and it's just an ugly road. That's it.
Great
Winterville.
job. Great job. That was excellent.
Okay. So I have Winterville. I've never been there, but heard it's great. Heard it's great. But the reason why is because they have a lot of talent. Why do you think they have so much talent? Anyone know? Or any ideas or guess?
Why they have so much talent?
Yes. Why do you think Winterville is going to have so much talent?
Probably because they have higher paying jobs, they have industry in there, they had a plan of action probably to,
Expectations.
yeah.
Speak up in the back. Don't be shy.
They're winners.
Huh? You said what?
They're winners.
They are winners.
Creativity.
They've taken all the winners from Loserville.
Ouch, not that we're bitter or anything.
Not that we're good. But the reason why is because they're attracted there. The better jobs are there, better for their family, living conditions, just different things like that. And people who live there, they want to stay there. So they're going to be there for a while. They get predictive data. That's like talking about they have a problem, so they already have stuff in place to take care of those problems, like after school programs, different things like that. Low economy based employers, what do you think that is?
Say that again.
What is it?
Loyal economic based workers.
Oh. People are happy. They've got job satisfaction, so they're showing up to their work, so they're not jumping from job
Yes,
to
it's
job.
people with small businesses, but they live in the community, so they're really
Committed.
yes, they're committed to it because they want to live there and they want things to thrive there. They want things to go well.
Job security.
Huh?
Yes.
Job security.
Oh yes, definitely job security. Oh, the service sector expansion. What do you guys think that is?
Service sector, is that what you said?
Yes, sir. Wiseman. Because he has the beard, man. I'm sorry. So I love it. He is wise. Grass doesn't grow on busy streets.
Expansion.
They have more group programs to make the community better.
Yes, that's right. Keep moving. Anyone?
Service center, well, you're just getting help from your neighbors.
It's more of a locally done thing. People aren't traveling outside of their communities to find their resources. They're going to the local stores instead of the Walmart Supercenter 30 minutes away, kind of thing. They're keeping all the money in one central location so that the tax revenue and stuff stays in the same community.
Yes, definitely. So anyone know a place like that besides Bartlesville?
Well, they said in the book, wasn't it Albuquerque?
Yes.
Tulsa.
Tulsa, yes, that's a great one.
Not
Oklahoma
Tulsa
City.
in total, just certain parts of Tulsa.
And that's just with
Yeah.
anything. It's certain parts, like even in Bartlesville, I'm pretty sure,
Probably
like
Wasso.
it's different. So like where it's going to be a poor side, it's going to be a rich side. Anywhere you go, it's going to be like low revenue, high revenue places. So the net worth increases. Anyone want to talk about that? It increases because people are doing more spending in here. So, like for Tulsa, they're getting so much money because they have stuff that attracts people there, such as Incredible Pizza, the mall, different places. So you don't have to go out. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go out.
Flat burgers.
And what they're doing with the tech, what'd you say? What burgers?
Flat burgers.
What's that?
They have a good.
Not me trying to just make a flat burger.
No,
That's
it is
dope.
called Flat Burgers. Right
Oh,
out
Flat
there by South 75, there's a place called Flat Burgers, and they're real flat. They're about this big around. They're really good.
Yes, they have the flat burger.
That doesn't keep many in Tulsa. I don't know what does.
You gotta use the fat burger.
Well, plus you have money to invest in housing and those kind of things, and that increases your net worth. You can put a savings account, so you're increasing your net worth over time. So it's adding, everything's starting to add up, and it's coming back to you. You're investing, and it's coming back.
Flat burgers.
Tax base expands. So what do you think they're doing with all the tax dollars in Winterville? What do you think they're doing with that money?
Put it back in the community.
Exactly. They're putting it back in the community. And that goes to the phase 7, which is cost and control investment. They're investing it in like training qualified workers and building better schools and things like that. After school programs and stuff and different things like that. And that's basically it. What's your guys' input on this?
What's your definition of a better school?
I say better teachers, a safer environment like school location. Because I mean, I'm from Loserville, so I don't know about that.
You're from what?
I'm from Loserville. This is
Where are you from?
I'm from Muskogee, Oklahoma.
You really
I'm
do.
from-
You are from a very difficult
I am
community.
from a difficult situation.
High crime rate. Muskogee is a great example of Loserville and Winterville, and they're trying to reverse that. But the closer they got to that 50% mark of poverty, crime started to go up. And what town grew out from Muskogee? Fort Gibson. Yes.
Okay, we got it.
Exactly. So you are just spot on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
I think this is the last.
No,
I got it. You guys gonna say the best for last?
So basically what we're going to go over here is the inverted dependency ratio. And this is basically what's going to happen if all these things occur and we don't get our qualified workers, and we have the downhill side, which is where we've got 2 people that are dependent on 1 worker. And then here is the side where things do get better, then we have 1 dependent per worker. So this is the not so ideal situation, and this is our ideal situation in a community. So now I believe we're going to talk about communities, our own individual communities.
Professor View, do you want to start with the video, or do you want us to go?
Start with the video.
Go ahead and talk about your hometowns, and then we'll have her come on and all.
All right.
Then we'll
What
start.
order do you guys want to do this in?
I'm not going.
I already talked about mine.
We like this.
I lived in
We have a
Muskogee.
side of Muskogee.
I am from Nowata, Oklahoma. That's not too far from Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And we talked about how communities are like people. So we have these forms that have traits of communities. And one of the ones I picked for my community was that it has peaked. Now, what I mean by that is Nowata, it's a pretty older community, and a lot of its money came in from like the oil businesses that were around there in that era. And in about 1950s to 1960s, it was doing real well. But they even had a Walmart come in, and for our town, that was, oh my gracious, great. And we had all these downtown businesses shut down due to that, which was unfortunate, and then the Walmart left. So now we have nothing. So unfortunately, that happens to communities, so that's one of the qualities of my community, and I thought I'd share it.
Thank you. How many of you been in Nowata? Seen it? Don't blink, right?
You'll miss it.
Don't miss it.
Speaking of don't blink, I am from a rural community in Oklahoma called Olive. It's a town of just a couple hundred people, honestly.
Where is it?
It's middle of Creek County, about by Bristow, Drumright area. We're right in there. We were supposed to pick a positive and a negative about our community. And seeing as how I don't have a functioning community, we don't have a post office or anything like that. We have a gas station and a school and 2 churches. That's, the cattle count is higher than the people. So most of my characteristics of my community seem to line up with one another. And I chose the quality of rich for my positive. We have a lot of old wealth out where I'm from. We have a lot of oil companies and construction companies, bulldozers and stuff like that out where I'm from. And the people out there are there because they can sustain themselves. They can afford to drive to Tulsa to work every day, which is about 2 hours. It's about a 2-hour drive. So we like to keep it pretty close, but all of our spending is elsewhere. It's 30 minutes to the nearest Walmart, and that's via highway. So, and for the negative side, I think I'd have to go with the old-fashioned kind of thing. We're not welcoming. If we don't know who you are or what your vehicle looks like, we don't want anything to do with you. Everybody in our community has been there for generations and generations. People don't normally leave. They get their granddaddy's home whenever they're done. So it's just a big, basic community where we're shut off, and we like it that way. So it's a little different from what everybody else in the class has got to see. And they didn't believe me how secluded I was. They made me pull it up on Google Maps and zoom out and zoom out and zoom out before you saw a town. So they thought it's a little out of their comfort zone, I think. So, Jordan?
Are any of the out-of-state kids gonna go?
Okay,
Mo wants to smile because I know where he's from.
Yeah, I'll go last since I'm the best one.
Okay, I'm from Plano, Texas. Originally born in El Paso, but I'll do Plano. The positive is traditional, really based on tradition. Everything we do, like even in our schools, we'll wear maroon, have parades. Just built on tradition, and I think our community is very supportive also. Like, we need help with anything, our neighbors can like help us out, or it doesn't matter who you are, they're always supportive. You can see someone in the grocery store and just know that they'll help you out. And I'd have to say that they're hard workers. We've got some really ambitious people in Plano, Texas, and pretty much like work for what they want. But the negative part is, I guess I just have to say ignorant. Because if you've ever been to Plano, we're split up into 3. Plano East, Plano West, and just regular Plano. So across the track, this Plano East, people view it as, the poorer side and, living in poverty. Plano West, some may view it as a really ritzy, stuck up. And then Plano is just middle class. And I think that the reason why they're ignorant is because they don't know. Like, Plano West, there's rich and poor people in middle class. Plano East, they have the same. It's just like, you just have to live there in order to understand it. And another negative I'd say is entitlement. A lot of these kids think that, everything's going to be handed to them. They don't want to work for it. And like, Dad will buy them a brand new car every year, every day probably, but they just feel like they don't have to work for what they got, and that's another negative. And the last negative I got was whining, crying about things instead of getting it done. Like, if you don't have enough time to cry about it, you have enough time to get it done.
That's our new motto.
So that's Plano, Texas, for y'all.
Whining? How do you spell that?
W-H-I-N-I.
Oh, whining. I thought you said whining, like a mixture of crying and whining.
I can use that one too.
I'm from Norman, Oklahoma, and it was just recently voted the #1 place to live in Oklahoma. So, I'm not trying to boast or anything. So I'll start with the negatives. I said Norman was lazy. Kind of what Jordan just said. People would just expect things to be handed to them because from Norman, that's just how it is. Whining, definitely on there. Poorly managed. You can see that right now we have construction on a bridge going across 35 and we're trying to expand it. And that is a mess. This is like the 3rd time they're trying on this. Nobody really knows why they're doing it. There wasn't a reason to do it. And I guess it's to make it look better, but they're not, they paid some out-of-state construction company to come in and do it so they could save money, and they made it too short, and it's not going well. But I say the city makes stupid decisions on how to spend our money. If we do anything for the school, we throw it into football or basketball and build them a new stadium, get them college level equipment and workout facilities for no reason, and then that goes along with frivolous. And then the positives is a college town. That's where the University of Oklahoma is. So I said we're hip, growing, independent, rich, and smart. Norman's a very wealthy town. With OU there, you have all of their staff members have their kids in the schools there, and that provides a lot of money. Norman's had a lot of people that have gone on to be successful in the past and have now moved back into the town or giving back to the community. So we're pretty rich, and I like to say as long as OU football is winning, Norman's going to be all right. It brings in a lot of money as long as old Bobby is getting the troops out there to win games. So that's Norman.
Did you know a teacher named Vanessa Moore?
Vanessa Moore?
Uh-huh.
Where'd she teach at?
I can't remember. Was my sister. I forgot what school she went to.
I know. There was a teacher at like my elementary school that was a Moore. She was like a 3rd grade teacher, I believe.
I think she teaches 8th grade.
I'm from Houston, Texas, which is better to me than Oklahoma, period. I think that Houston, Texas is very ambitious. A lot of people want to continue to succeed and they don't want to be stagnant. Everywhere you go, you see growth. To me, I don't see any negative anywhere. I mean, some people will say 3rd Ward is bad in Houston and downtown, or this place is better than this one, but I think it's all equal, and I think everybody has their own opportunity. We're very constructive. Like, I love our roads. It's so much better than Tulsa's by far. I think my car has a lot of damage to it by now. But every road, there's something new going on or new highways opening up so that we have a better commute to work or to your entertainment. And so I like it, even though construction normally is a hazard or irritating because you want to get somewhere faster, but in the end, it makes it better as for a commute. And I think we're optimistic. That's a positive thing, that if you see success in the way, or if that's your drive, you're going to go for it. And you may have roadblocks, but we're optimistic enough to get through that roadblock and become successful. One of the negatives, I would say, is that we're wasteful, because we always have all these wants, but we won't want to give. And so we have so much green space, and all that green space turns into a new mall or a new gas station. I have 4 gas stations within a minute in distance. So I think that would be our downfall, is the continuous of construction and growth. Sometimes you need to be okay with what you already have. So.
Where do you draw the line on a free market economy versus a command economy? When you start saying things like too many gas stations, too many banks, too many this, that, you are flying in the face of economic reality, which is that the market economy, and what Schumpeter, who used to be the director of the National Bureau of Economic Research, calls creating destruction, is what makes economies great and what makes them revitalize themselves. That's like saying,
I
well,
wouldn't
we
know how
don't
to
need another
change it,
drugstore.
but I
in
just know,
town.
I just think that sometimes there's just too much, and I think that some people just
And I
need
think
to be
about
okay
that
with it.
right here, when you look at where we have Walgreens, now we have, what is it, CVS?
CVS.
Coming straight across.
I didn't understand the concept.
Go to the
until
other side of
Walgreens
town, we
and
need
then
some services
CVS.
there too. I know.
That's-
This is, I see what you're saying, but I see what you're saying too.
That's
the
good,
way it grows.
that's good
Yeah.
for
We
consumers.
have one more,
It is.
we
It
have
helps
one more
us.
student, if you'll direct your attention down here, that
You
couldn't
only
be
have
here
4
tonight,
minutes of
she's at a
battery left,
business
by the way.
internship, but she wanted to share her town with you. Okay,
Kelsey Personnel.
okay, and what are you doing this semester, what class are you in that you're doing this for?
Circles Out of Poverty with Professor Gio.
Okay. Can you tell us what you've done here? You've taken a checklist and you're working on evaluating your hometown community. Tell us where you're from.
I actually I grew up in a lot of different places. I moved around a lot when I was younger, so it gives me a lot more, I think, community experience. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I moved to Jackson, Ohio. My family now lives in Spearfish, South Dakota, and that's the one I'll be evaluating. And then in May, we're moving to Louisiana, so that's another one I'll be able to add to my list. But,
Sorry.
How do you turn that off? Because it's about to die.
Left it alone.
You want me to ad lib?
I can't see
Somebody
it.
lip sync.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you're on the phone.
Jim, you do the swoosh sound of our hands and all that.
Yeah.